is Score on Business.
Hello, everyone. I'm Pete Hendricks. Welcome to Score on Business. Our mission at Score is to help entrepreneurs and small businesses to succeed. Score counselors are available at no charge, and we absolutely are ready to help you get going. We also have classes. There's how to start a business, writing a business plan, online marketing of your business, how to make and use a financial statement, selling skills. And you can sign up for these by going to our website, which is scorenashville.org. And SCORE is like he scored a run, SCORE, Nashville.org. We're here every week talking about how to start a new business. So our first guest today is Jim Cumbie. Jim is an entrepreneur and owner of the Tennessee Valley Group. Jim assists others in buying and selling businesses and spends a lot of time advising leaders on what to do to maximize the value of their business so they can receive the highest price. And Jim, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself and Tennessee Valley Group?
Thank you, Pete. Nice to be here. Tennessee Valley Group is a full-service business brokerage transition mediation firm. We help business owners in Tennessee and Kentucky who want to buy or sell their business. I've been an entrepreneur. I've bought and sold my own companies. I've also been a corporate guy. I was a senior executive at the Walt Disney Company for a number of years. So I've seen a lot of different kinds of business activity, and I can now bring that to bear, helping small business owners who are ready to buy or sell their business.
Good. Well, I was so glad that you're able to be on the show because you really get down into the nuts and bolts of what people need to do. If folks can talk to you before they're ready to sell their business, you understand how they can take action to maximize the value, and you have a lot of business issues come your way, and thank you for being here.
There isn't much I haven't seen.
I imagine not. So, tell you, does an employer need contracts with his employees?
Well, the employer needs contracts with his or her employees if their business is subject to a competitive situation that could harm them. If the employee has access to proprietary information about a customer or a process or some element of the business that could be in danger for when it crosses the street, then you need to have a contract with that employee. That's typically not the case. Most businesses are pretty straight up. The employees get paid for what they do, and if the employees can come and go. But there are those occasions when there's something proprietary in the process. In that case, I'd advise them to seek legal counsel and have an agreement written.
Yeah, I think about a situation that occurred sometime in the past with a company that I know, and one of the top people in the company got another office unbeknown to everybody else, moved, and he was critical to the business, and so the customers all went to him, and the original business was devastated.
That happens. I see that more often than I would like.
Yeah.
Now, you can't necessarily prohibit that or stop that through the process of a contract. The contract does not solve every problem known to man, but it can mitigate that from happening, or mitigate the circumstances, or mitigate the impact if that happens.
Okay, so a lot of businesses are family-owned businesses. So let's say that a couple of brothers have a business, and one brother understands that he'll have equity one day. Is a contract needed in that case?
Well, it's funny you would ask that question, because I am working with the situation now and selling a business where that is kind of the case, and a business owner had promised equity to his brother and decided to sell the company before that equity transition had been effected. So the brother's coming back and going, wait a minute, I need a piece of the sale proceeds, and the owner's going, well, no, you don't. We never had it in writing. So not only do you have a business problem,
right,
you now have a family problem. And that is completely avoidable if you just think in advance about all the circumstances. too often people say, well, or think I'll just get to that, or we'll deal with that later, or we can work that out when the time comes.
Right.
And sometimes you can. Not every situation in life is resolved through, legal interaction at the outset. But if you get involved with contracting early on, it can at least avoid or mitigate the impact of a negative reaction later on.
Right. Good. So let's say that a company's biggest customer might be moving their business to an offshore competitor. If I go directly to them, let's say they go directly to them, might look desperate. What would you recommend there?
Well, I saw that a couple of years ago with a client whose company I was selling, and they manufactured, and one of their biggest customers was a company that also used other manufacturers in North America. Well, my client wanted to sell his company, but he had found out in the course of the selling process that he might lose this big customer because the customer was looking to move some other production offshore. So he came to me and said, should I confront the customer or just sort of hope that it goes away or doesn't happen?
Yeah.
And I encouraged him in that case to go ahead and talk to the customer to say, look, I hear that there's a possibility you might be moving offshore. Is that going to happen? And he was afraid to confront the customer for fear that if he confronted the customer, by even raising it, something bad might happen. But
right.
In this case, nothing. The customer made it clear that they were happy with their production and manufacturing process as it was. It actually strengthened the relationship between my client and his customer, that they were able to talk about sort of the strategic needs of their business. My client was able to talk to his customer about the nature of that relationship, and it ended up being a positive just by virtue of them having the conversation, whereas at the outset my client was afraid to raise it for fear that if he brought up the topic that it might open up a Pandora's box, and it didn't, and good things happen. Good things happen when people talk and reason through things, and this is just another example of that.
Okay. So let's say there's a business and the owner's best salesman is going through a rough time and asks the boss for a loan. What should they do there?
Wow, that's a great question. I see those kind of things whenever I go to help a client sell a business. I can look in their balance sheet and I see on the balance sheet, loans to employees, and it's never really a good thing to do that, because it really changes the relationship between you and a key employee when all of a sudden you now have an economic interest in them that goes beyond their employment. Now,
right.
You might choose to gift to that employee. If an employee comes to you and has a problem that they're going through and needs some financial help through it, you might choose to give them something. But to make it a loan, put it on the balance sheet, that just kind of it changes the nature of the relationship.
Yeah.
And I can just tell you in my experiences, I've seen that happen, and it never tends to have a great result.
I have not heard of it working well.
Right.
And in maybe 30 to 40 seconds, company's best customer is 90 days late, and they're asked about it, and they say, well, if you want faster terms, we'll just take the business elsewhere. What would you advise?
Well, I might challenge the assumption that that's the company's best customer. It might be their biggest customer,
right.
But if you really look at the cost to hold that invoice for 90 days, you might realize that your biggest customer is your worst customer.
Right.
I would really advise to have the conversation, talk to your customer, and if you feel like they're riding you longer than you should, be honest about it and be prepared to lose the customer, because if you and your customer don't have a win-win relationship, it will come back to bite you somehow, some way, eventually. And that sounds to me like a customer is trying to take advantage of
Right.
the relationship, and that's never a good thing.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Jim. Thank you so much. And everybody, we're going to take a quick break, but hang with us. We'll be right back.